Hello, my name is Daniel Perez, and today I'll be presenting my final presentation for my Guidance 2 class. Uh, First of all, I want to say I'm very fortunate to be part of this EOPS program, even though it was a unfortunate turn of events that occurred this year. And I'm very grateful to be accommodated and to be learning online and to be going at my own pace and learning in the comfort of my own home. And I'm very grateful for that. And let's get started. One of the first big points that I really love was mastering self-management. And this is all about getting what you need to do. Even though these first 2 years will go by very quickly, I need to make sure that I'm doing my absolute hardest and working my absolute best, turning all the assignments in, making sure that I'm doing everything necessary that I graduate at the end of these 2 years. Um, the first part would be developing self discipline, being persistent, staying focused, avoiding procrastination. These are all valuable points in being successful in college because I need to make sure that I'm disciplined, that I'm doing every single day. I wake up, I need to do what I need to do, so and then that I don't get behind, and I'm making sure that at the end of these 2 years, I graduated with a degree. And one of the big points that I really loved, or the quotes, was pre-commitments are a great way to avoid giving into the temptation of procrastination. Because if I commit to something beforehand, then I'm way more unlikely to be procrastinating in the future. Because then I tell myself, I need to get this done. It's a priority to me. And that'll make sure that I remind myself that this is important and that I won't be procrastinating. So that's a really big point. And I drew a little man pushing a ball up the hill for being persistent because I can't. This is an uphill battle, and I can't give up until I'm finished. Next really big point that I really love was accepting personal responsibility because at the end of the day, this everything that I do is up to me. I need to make sure that and I can't blame anything on anybody. It's everything is I have my control of my own body. I'm able to do whatever I need to do to be successful. Uh, and one of the big points that was very connected into this lesson was the little V and the big V. And little V is everything outside of my control. Big V is everything in my control. But this is all about being victim. Because if you, a little V is an example would be would be getting hit by a car or getting in a car accident. Even though you're a victim and you might get hurt, the bigger part is about the big V because even though the little V is out of your control, you had nothing to it's out of your control and it just so happens. The big V is letting that ruin your life. You're scared of driving and you don't ever want to drive again. That's being a big V because you have control over what you allow. You can't let that ruin your life. You can't let that one incident control the rest of your life. You need to take control and make sure that and especially with college, because I can't let one little mistake in my college career end up costing me. And I drew a little controller for representation. The next really big point that I really loved was adopting lifelong learning, and this focused on making sure that I'm using my learning types to my advantage, and that I'm making sure that I'm learning the best that I can, so that I can be absorbing all the information in college as the best of my ability. And this is all about like think of your brain as a muscle because the harder you work the harder you work your brain, the more you'll learn. The harder that I study, the harder that I work, the more that I'll soak in. Self learning goals as well as performance goals. Seek feedback. Seek feedback from my peers, my professors. Make sure I know what I'm doing wrong and that I can improve on that. Change course when needed. Also about your learning type, my learning type. Make sure that I'm adapting to my professor's way of teaching and my way of teaching, so I can learn as best as I can. And the quote that I really loved was, "The more we exercise our brains, the more neural networks we're created, and the smarter we become." And it's absolutely true. The more we work our brain, the more we study, the more we learn. It helps us in the long run because we're creating these neural networks, and we're strengthening our brains so that we become better every single day. And the final point that I really loved was the power of belief. And this quote comes from the TEDx talk from Eduardo Brinkseno. The first, recognize that the growth mindset is not only beneficial, but is also supported by science. How the brain changes and becomes more capable when we work hard and to prove ourselves. In this talk, he constantly reminds us that being a growth mindset, being that our current we're better than what we are today. That we have the ability, and then if we tell ourselves that we can improve, that we have the absolute ability to improve. But if we have the mindset that that our current state of knowledge is our limit, that we can't get any better, and that's where we're gonna stay. But if we listen to Eduardo and we make sure that we encourage ourselves and I encourage myself to grow every single day, then that's gonna happen. And at the end of these 2 years, then I'll be able to graduate and I'll be able to do better than I am today. And that's the end of my presentation and a little light bulb that I drew. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. Have a good one.